there, and welcome back to Building with the Boys. We now have part 5 Hachette's Build the Titanic. This came, surprisingly, when we weren't expecting it to, and the reason why is because I actually received an email from Hachette saying, unfortunately, there is a delay. There isn't. This actually came earlier than I was expecting it to turn up. So we're here, we've got it. There's not a ton to do in this one. What we are going to be building is we are going to be building the starboard bow, the lower starboard bow. We're not going to be building that, we get that. We do have some parts for the engine. Now, I can tell you, the parts we're making here are not for a new engine. They are to add to the engine that we built in part 3. And there's something else from part 3 I'd like to talk to you about. Now, what was going to happen originally was we were going to have a little bit of a history lesson, like kind of how we did with the band in the last issue, about an actress that was on board the Titanic. Instead, we'll be doing that in the next issue. What I'm going to do at the end of this one is talk about the smoke generator again, because I just want to alleviate some of your concerns about the smoke generator. There's a lot of people that are having issues getting theirs to work in the test. They're concerned that theirs isn't working. They're concerned about how it's going to work. I know how it's going to work, so we'll have a bit of a chat about that at the end. But first things first, we'll get into this, we'll have a look at the parts, we'll put it together, and then at the end we'll have a bit of a chat about the smoke generator. If you've been enjoying the Titanic build up to now on this channel, please feel free to hit the like button and hit the subscribe button, and you'll get all of the issues, because we are building this right through to the end, right up to issue 130. So without further ado, let's get into this and have a look. Okay, so firstly, here are the parts that come with part 5. Now, I like this. This is actually unusual, because typically with part works, anybody that does one ends up with all this plastic that I don't think is entirely necessary. So I'm kind of hoping this remains, because this is sustainable if nothing else. So this is what we get inside here. Again, it's not loads. We have these engine parts here, and we have our piece of the bow. We've got this arm here as well. So this is our piece of the starboard bow. It's much longer than the piece that we built in 1 and 2. Well, it's about the same size as the piece we built in 1 and 2, but this is a single piece. Now, we're not going to be using this until the next issue. So we're just going to put that to the side. If you're building this weekly, keep this stuff, put it back in your box. If not, I mean, I'm immediately going to be building the next part, so we're perfectly safe. But very lovely it looks too. But that's not what we're doing. What we're actually doing is we're assembling these parts here, which I know a lot of people thought this was going on a new engine, but they are not. They are going on the engine that we built in 3. Now, you will see that in the next issue, exactly how this looks. So there is very little to do in this, because we're literally attaching these pieces to this bar. So we'll have a look at the instructions, and exactly what we've got to do, and we'll put it together. Okay, so taking your bar, you've got to make sure the orientation's right the right way. Now, I'm hoping the camera can pick this up. There we go. Now, the pins on one side are flat and they're pronounced on the other. So you want it so it's flat. You want the pronounced pins this side down. So the flat side's going to remain here. From there, all we're going to do is we're going to take these parts here, and the fat end of these is going to attach to the bar. So it's quite simple. Again, this isn't, you know, this isn't rocket science. So the larger head of these little clamps are just going to slot into place, and that is what you'll be left with. That's what you've got to do in that stage. And now the next part we're going to do is we're going to add these parts to it. So now, turning this over so the mouths are facing outwards, we are going to take these pieces here, and very simply we're going to slot them into the mouths. That's 1, and there's 2. Simple enough. That's it. Now, 1 part left to go. The last thing left to do is we take these 2 parts here, and they are going to clip to here. You will go. There we go, clip. Bend this down, and this part into there. So that's how that will look. We're going to do the other one, and then we'll have a look at the finished part. And that is that part complete. So that this is what your finished one will look like. So the open mouths are on this side, and then we have these installed. Real simple, not a load to do. It's disappointing when there's not lots to do in an issue, but I know there is a significant amount to do in the next issue, so not all bad. We'll have a bit of a chat about something else that arrived with this delivery, and the smoke generator. So that's it, nice and simple. I mean, nothing overly complicated. I know it might be like, oh, I've waited ages for this and that's all I've got, but it's necessary, and trust me, something tells me, with the amount that goes into this boat, you'll be remembering the days fondly where that's all you had to do when we get to the more complicated parts later on. Something else that did arrive with this delivery. Now I missed mine on the first delivery that I had, didn't get it, but I got it on this one, and rather lovely it is too. We got our first free gift in this lovely tin post of the White Star Line Titanic. It's very gorgeous. I mean, it's got a weather to it that's nice, and it will be going here on this wall here. It's got a lovely place for it, and that's where it's going to go. So by the time you tune in for issue 6, it will be up on the wall. Now, I did say I was going to tell you about the smoke generator. What I can say about the smoke generator is what I said when I built it in issue 3 and tested it in issue 3, and also what I said on one of my weekly catch-ups. You have to chill, right? That's all I can tell you at this point. You have to chill. You just do. Because, I mean, mine's not working. It is working. Because all we did was test it. That's literally all it was. It was a test. It's not going to work as it will work in the finished model, because it is not built as it will be built in the finished model. It is not being powered as it will be powered in the finished model. All you are doing at this stage is a test. Now, blame Hachette for this. This isn't your fault. This is Hachette's fault, because Hachette should have been a lot clearer in their instructions that this is just a test. Will it generate some smoke? Yes. And if you've done what they've asked you to do, it should generate some smoke. Not loads. You're not going to get bellows of smoke coming out of this thing yet, but you will. So if you followed their instructions and you used paper towel to do it, that's great. But the problem with paper towel is it's so absorbent that it's fighting the generator. So when you're trying to draw water out the paper towel's trying to draw it in. So you've got kind of the irresistible force meeting the immovable object, and it can be a problem. Let me grab the smoke generator and I'll show you something. All right, so here's your smoke generator. Now, what's going to happen is there will be a piece that this sits in. So there's access to the bottom. Then another piece is going to go on top that has a smaller funnel that would just cover that silver piece there. So a very small funnel, but that will help channel your steam upwards. That bolts together. Then what happens is you get a sponge. And you get a very long, thin sponge that kind of looks like this. At the bottom of that sponge goes a black rubber stopper, and at the bottom of that black rubber stopper is a spring. That goes inside a tube or the tank. Goes right down, then the spring pushes the sponge up into the base part, so it is making complete contact with your generator. That then all gets bolted together, so you have an outer tank with a sponge inside, the spring pushing it up directly into this to create the pressure, to create the water. Then all of that gets inserted into the funnel. So the power source comes off the side, so it's not actually with the tank itself where your water will go. You don't put loads of water in this either. So once that's built, in it goes. So how do you fill it? Well, there's a little hole at the top, and you will get a pipette. And about 2 or 3 full pipettes squeezed in. It has an adapter that fits into a hole. Squeeze the pipette. The water goes in against the sponge absorbs the water, you leave it about 10-15 minutes, the sponge is then sodden with the water that it's absorbed, you hit the button, and then smoke comes out, and smoke will come out almost too much. That's kind of what I'm expecting. I'm expecting it to be a case of you going from there's not enough smoke to this thing makes too much smoke, too ferocious. Is kind of what I'm expecting. Now, why am I confident this is going to happen? Because they've done this on other part works. So this is exactly how it works on other part works that Hachette have made. It's the same unit. It's exactly the same unit. And pretty much all of them use the same method. And that's how they do it. But again, when it comes to test, same thing. You get these kind of wisps of smoke, and then by the end of it, this is going to be powered different. Now, I'm 100% certain that the Titanic is not going to be powered by 2 AAAs. It's not. I'm expecting this thing to take at least 6 D batteries. That's what I'm expecting to go into it, because you've got all the lights that are going in it. You've got the 2 propellers at the back. You've got the sound. You've got the smoke that's going to be coming out of, I think, 3 of the funnels. It's a lot. So I'm expecting D batteries to be doing this. You're going to have a completely different motherboard powering all of this as well. Plus the engine's running too. The engine's running, the propeller's going at the back. There's so much going on in this. It's going to need a lot of power. And I would imagine it's going to be a minimum of 6 D batteries are going to power this thing, if not 8. And that's why you're going to get a much more ferocious reaction out of this thing when it's put together and it's got the adequate power supply. All you were doing in stage 3 was testing it. Is power going to it? Does it work? Yes. That's it. That's test complete. Not, does this create the same sort of smoke you've seen in the adverts and things like that? No, because it's not going to. It just isn't going to. This isn't enough power. The board isn't right to do it. All this is doing is you press the button, hold the button when you do the test. Don't just press it once. Press and hold until you start to get wisps of smoke. If you're still not seeing it, get yourself a darker background to see if your smoke is coming. If genuinely you're not seeing anything come out of it after doing all of that, request another one. Request a replacement one and see what they can do for you. But you might find you have the same problem. But I assure you, you are going to get ferocious amounts of steam coming out of this thing. And it's going to look great. It will. But I can't keep talking about it. So that's just me trying to alleviate some of your concerns about the smoke generator. If I'm wrong, I'll fall on my sword, but I'm not wrong. I know I'm not, because again, I've seen them use this in different models. I've seen them use this in trains, I've seen them use it in boats, and they all work exactly the same way, and they all use this exact same one, and I've seen what this can generate. So don't stress. Don't stress. We're 2 years away from that yet. And look, worst case scenario, it doesn't create this massive plume of smoke you're expecting. The whole mod community will be all over this, and I'm sure not only are they going to go, okay, well, we've modded it, so you can have ferocious steam, little steam, it'll constantly be steaming. They'll probably have it where we've made different colour steam and different tasting, smelling steam. They're that good. So I have faith that not only is this one going to work, but if it doesn't, the modding community will swoop into the rescue and help us out. So please don't stress. Anyway, if you've enjoyed all that, if it's been informative, if you like hearing me ramble, please give us a like, give us a subscribe. It helps the channel massively. It's great hearing from all of you. I try wherever I can to get back to you. If you've got any further questions that are a little bit too much for the comment section, you can email us at buildingwiththeboys@outlook.com, and we'll answer any questions that that you have that we can. We'll be back very soon with part 6. The sign will be up on the board. We'll be assembling the upper starboard bow, and we will also be going back to the engine we built in part 3, where we will be finishing this part and adding that to it as well. So there's going to be a lot more movement to that engine in the next issue. We'll see you then, and in a world where you can be anything at all, just be nice. See you next time.